As FIFA 22 progresses further and further throughout the year, it opens up more opportunities to trade. Not just because EA releases more content that you can buy and sell on the market, but also because player attention changes. Whereas before players were interested in rare gold players and informs, now they're interested in the next big promo. So we can actually go back and look at some of what EA has released before, and as it is now less desirable, we can get some really good deals just to list it even higher. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing in today's video. Before I do get into the video, if you're looking to get some very easy coins that don't require you to even play FIFA, then there is no better place than Mule Factory. Head over there to get yourself some cheap, fast FIFA 22 coins, completely reliable, and if you use Fnatic 5 out checkout, you will be able to get yourself a 5% discount. Link can be found in the description down below. Getting back into the video. In previous videos, we talked about investing into Team of the Week players, and the reason to do so is because over time, they get rarer and rarer on the market. And there's 3 different reasons to why this happens. The first reason is because they are cheap, being anywhere between 10 to 15k, they can get quick sold quite heavily right at the beginning, especially when those players are at that cheaper end of 10,000 coins. In a lot of instances, there's a very good reason for you to quick sell a player rather than list a player on the market at a similar price range. For example, if you was to list a player at 10,000 coins, you also need to take in a 5% EA tax. This will take you down to only being able to achieve 9,500 coins, but you could quick sell them for a higher price. It is only a couple hundred coins different, but smart people would much rather quick sell. The second reason is that SBCs come out that require special cards, and these are the types of players that you'll be going to first that you can actually use for those SBCs. And once you give those players up, you're never going to see them again. And the third reason is just like every other player within the game, there will be fans of the player himself or the club that he plays for, so people buy and hold him to actually support the club, or they use them within their ultimate team. Because there is no source for these types of players as they've already been taken out of packs, gradually over time they just get rarer and rarer on the market, and this forces the price to increase. So you can just buy and hold these players and you will be able to make coins, but if you're looking at these players now and you've just started, well, you can't go back in time to actually buy them. But if you was to buy some of the Team of the Weeks that are active now, you've got to wait weeks, potentially even months for them to actually increase. But the good news is that you can now trade with these players. Some of these players, especially from the first lot of Team of the Weeks that have been released in FIFA 22, some of them are so rare that it's just opened up a lot of opportunity for you to easily just go across each player, see exactly what the lowest buy now is, and compare it to what the second lowest buy now is. And if there is room for you to make profit, you buy the cheapest one and then relist it slightly higher where you're still undercutting the market. Yours is still the cheapest, but you're able to sell it and actually make a fair few amount of coins out of them. So to actually go through this, one of the best ways is to go on Futbin or FutWiz and go to the section where it shows all the previous Team of the Weeks as well as the other promos that have been released. You'll then have to scroll all the way down to the point of where you see the first Team of the Week. You click that and there you have a list of all the players that were involved and were included within that first Team of the Week. Now going back over to FIFA, you can individually type each player's name in and all you're doing is just comparing the player's price. If you do have a bit more time, you can look at players with bids on. Any of them that are considerably lower compared to the lowest buy now, you'll add them to your watch list and then bid on them later. But you really don't need to, and in the case of the footage that you're seeing for this video, I didn't do that. Instead, I was just looking at the buy nows. I'll type a player's name in, find the inform that I'm looking for, go across, and you don't need to go across too many players, but all I'm doing is just comparing the price. If I came across a player that was listed at 15,000 coins and the next cheapest was at 17,000, I would buy the one at 15 and then list it at 16,750. That way I am still the cheapest on the market, but if anyone does come across it, they're going to buy mine instead of anyone else because it is the cheapest, and by selling it, I'm still able to make a good amount of coins profit. Not an insane amount, but it does well for me. You won't get deals for every single one of these players, but it's just about going through every single player that's within these Team of the Weeks, comparing the price, and gradually over time you'll be able to get 3 or 4 per team. And once you finish with Team of the Week 1, you can then move on to Team of the Week 2 to do the exact same thing again. Search each player individually by name, find the lowest buy now, and compare it to what else is there on the market. Sometimes you'll get in situations where you can see the opportunity to buy 2 or 3 players and then list them all slightly higher, because there's a difference between those first 3 players that you bought and then the price gap between that 4th player. This does come with a lot more risk, but if you see that you can sell these on relatively quickly, then by all means go for it, and you can actually make a few thousand coins out of doing this. Now, the reason that this method has all of a sudden come up, whereas before it wasn't available, is because now this is the point where attention is starting to fall away from these first lot of players that were included within the Team of the Week and actually start to move on to other types of promos, especially right now where everyone is talking about Team of the Year, which is happening at the end of January. So for a lot of people that's actually looking to trade with players, it's very slim that they're going to be looking at these specific players. This just opens the door up for us to go and look at them instead and find some very good deals. With that added bonus of what we mentioned right at the beginning, with them being fairly rare on the market compared to other players, it just makes it very easy for us to compare. And it also leaves opportunity for there to be a huge fluctuation within these players' prices. When going through other trading methods, especially with the amount of coins that we're using, I normally recommend to aim to get about 1,000 coins after EA tax. But as we are still dealing with Team of the Week players, and because they are very easy to sell and they are rare on the market, with there only being a chance of them really increasing unless all of a sudden there just becomes a massive supply of these types of players because they got re-released in packs, I'm actually very happy to take any type of profit. If I could just make a couple hundred coins, I'll take it. I'll buy the player, relist them straight away, and the likelihood of me being able to sell them within the first couple of hours is fairly high, because these aren't necessarily bad players. These are still good players that can be used within the game for a number of different reasons. It's just that with the current events, there's not as many people looking as of right now because they're getting ready for Team of the Year, or because there's higher rated versions of that player. Whilst we're speaking about higher rated versions of that player, there will be a lot of times where you come across a player that has multiple informs, and you may be put off to find their first inform is at a very similar price as their second inform, but don't be. This is just one of those things that can be crazy with the FIFA market, especially within FIFA 22 when player prices just don't make sense. For a lot of people, they'll look at a player, find that he has 2 informs, and see that they're both at a very similar price and gets put off with their first inform, because why would you go for that? Why would you go for their first inform when you could just go for the second inform, which is at the exact same price but higher rated? So when they see a price gap for the first inform between the lowest and the second lowest, they try to avoid that player. But you can still buy that first Team of the Week, relist it, and if it does require you to be higher than that second inform, you can still do that and people still buy into it. And this is why it is just so simple to look at some of these old special cards. For this video we have looked at Team of the Weeks, but you can look at other types of promos that were released early on. As long as there's a price difference between a group of players, or whatever the cheapest is to the second cheapest, or some of the other players at a higher price, then you're in a good position where you can buy those cheaper players, relist them slightly higher so that you're able to make profit once they sell, but they are still the cheapest on the market. When it comes to actually selling them, they don't take that long. Remember, we are dealing with Team of the Week players, and for a lot of them, they're still desirable, especially once we start to get to the 83s and above that play within the top 5 major leagues. You should expect for those to sell relatively quickly, being within the first 24 hours. But with some of the other players, especially once we start to get lower than 83 rated and even push down to some of those 75 rated players, then it starts to take a bit longer, especially once we start going into some of the other leagues which are less desirable. That's when it may take a bit longer, but as long as you keep on relisting at their price, eventually they will sell. Sometimes, because we are dealing with players which are a lot rarer on the market now, you'll buy a player and it will be an amazing deal which is giving you a few thousand coins profit after EA tax. After listening for an hour and then checking the market, all of a sudden there seems to be an abundance of other players that have been listed at a lower price range, lower than what you initially bought it for. Sometimes this does happen. And for a lot of people, they panic and they just go and undercut the cheapest and then lose a few thousand coins, whereas before they were looking to make a few thousand coins. If you just hold out on this and keep on relisting at the price that you're wanting to sell for, at some points again within the future, there will be a limited amount of players on the market making yours the cheapest yet again. Normally this happens overnight as people forget to list their players for 12 hours whilst they're sleeping. They'll list them for an hour or just forget altogether. So live transfers will go down quite a bit, and for your specific player that you bought into, there's less of them on the market, making the price yet again increase and fluctuate throughout day and night. So just keep on relisting them and eventually they will sell. You can also do this with some of the silver informs. Silver informs are even rarer, which means you can get even more profit per card, but there's also even bigger price fluctuation. Even when silver team of the weeks are active within packs, because not as many people are opening silver packs, of course, not as many people are able to pack that player. So that already starts out right at the beginning of there being less of that player on the market. But just like gold informs, gradually over time, people buy these cards, they store them in their club, they stop playing, they quick sell them, they accidentally remove them, and they become extremely rare on the market where there will be a huge price difference between the players that do get listed. Everything that we've said for gold informs is still the exact same with silver informs. But anyway guys, this is a way in which you can trade with some of the old special cards that were involved with FIFA 22 right at the beginning, which have now become extremely rare on the market. Between now and the end of FIFA 22, where we get the next FIFA or whatever the name will be called, they're just going to get rarer and rarer until there's only a page worth of each player. This is a very good way for you to make coins, so if you're struggling right now, definitely go through this. If you do have any questions about anything, then please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. Anyway guys, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going. So see ya.